Welcome back. Okay, so what we're looking at today is the air cleaner system on our David Brown 880. And what they have here, this is the page from the parts manuals. They have two different systems that they use for the pre-cleaner. Now this part down in here, all of this was the same. But the little part up here and this assembly here is what is different. What we have on the 880 here is this assembly here. And it has a large paper element that goes into it, and where this one has a smaller pre-cleaner system on it. And that's what we have right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this off and change the paper element. Now the parts manual shows that as a 913601 air filter. On here, this says it's a CFK 25. Now this was distributed by Gould National Batteries Incorporated out of Colorado, and it's the Cyclone system. Never quite understood why that's that way, but that's the way it is. This is the original sticker that came on the tractor. When I restored this, this whole cap here was heavily rusted, and so this was the only decal that I could not find anywhere. So what I did is I sanded down all around it and I taped it off so that I could paint it. Now I did the Rust-Oleum rust reformer on it because it was heavily rusted, and I also primed it, and then we painted it the orchid white, obviously. So I left this decal on here instead of taking it off because you couldn't find them anywhere. So and I wanted it on there because I think that, you know, it needs to be on there. So changing this paper element is quite easy. It's just you have a wing nut up here on top. It's a threaded stud, which we remove like so. This lifts off and our filter is actually stuck in there. So what we'll do, peel that away. Well, there's our filter. And it's kind of dirty, isn't it? It's seen better days. So let's set that over here. And then this is the inside of our cap. Here we even painted on the inside of it and all of it there. And then your filter just sits down on here. There's a foam gasket on the top and the bottom of it. And we're going to replace it with the Wix number 42275 air filter. And as we can see, obviously this one's cleaner, which it should be. And it's real simple. You just set that on there. And then you put the hood back on it here. Line up that. And tighten it up. Quite simple. That is the paper element side of it. The other side of it is the oil reservoir at the bottom down here. And what we're going to do is we're going to drop down here a little bit. And we're going to take our front cover off, and we will show that. Okay, so we're going to remove our grill cover here, and this just has the two hold downs on it. Pop both of those loose, like so, and then we can remove this out of the way. And what we have down here, you're not going to be able to see it, are we? We have to get a light up in here. That is the pre-cleaner bowl that we have in there. This is an oil breather. So as we see, a little bit of leakage in there. Radiator's a little plugged up too. Let me get a rag and we'll wipe that off there a little bit. Keep as much of the crud out of the system as possible. back behind here. All right. And then all we have here, there's 3 clips, one in the back, 2 up here. I'll flip that up, flip this one up, flip that one up, and then release the tabs. The back one's the hardest one to get to. We drop this down. Oops. Ah, darn it. It's our oil. That is our filter element, which we got crap in it because it fell down in there. That is our filter element. And then that's the inside of the system there. And what happens is the air comes in this hole here, comes in down into the oil that's in the bottom of the can there. It goes through the oil and is pulled up around the perimeter here through this mesh piece. This cleaner here gets pulled up through. Now this will trap your oil and keep the oil hopefully inside the can, and then the air is drawn up through the pipes and into the system, the intake system. And so as we take a look in here, we're just going to take this, paper towel around it, keep it clean. And we have our oil in here. A little bit of dirt in there. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. I'm trying to think of when I changed this last. Well, it was when we restored it. So it was back in 22. Right here, probably can't see it. Right down in there, that is the fill mark. The exact oil level it says. So right to that line. And you know what? We're under that a little bit. I'm wondering if the oil is being sucked up into the intake. That can happen. And it does seem to burn a little oil when you first start it up in particular. So what we'll do is we'll drain this out. We'll drain that out. It's not really that bad in there. I don't think we need to clean our filter here, this assembly. They're calling this the lower element, and it's of course metal all the way through there. It's a metal reusable element. And I mean, there's not, doesn't appear to be even anything on it, because this is the side, if you had, you know, you're mowing and stuff and you get weed seed flying around and all that, it might get sucked up in here. It would be trapped around in here, and then it wouldn't be able to come on out and go up, because this is where the air goes down and through here, and then when it comes back up, it's coming up from around in here. It goes down into the oil, and you can see how, because there's only one way in and one way out there by the way this is designed, and then it comes back up through this area, and then that cleans it all, gives it a final cleaning before it goes ultimately into the intake, into the engine. But if this was dirty, then you would have to clean that out. You could use kerosene, or, you know, diesel I think is recommended for that as well. So we're going to drain this out, and then we'll come back and we'll put it back together. Okay, I don't know if we're going to be able to see this or not, but there are a few particles down in here. You can see them floating around. I don't know if we can get that on the camera or not. But there is a little bit of debris in our oil there. Not much, not real bad. You know, which there shouldn't be. There's only a couple 100 hours on the thing. Yeah, about 250. But I mean, it looks to me like there again, it looks like seed from where we mowed, and you know, your typical debris that's going to be sucked up into the thing. So now they recommend that you can have, if this thing gets 1/4 of an inch of sediment in it, you got to clean it out. So obviously we don't have that. We don't have any amount of sediment in there compared to that. So we're in good shape on that. So we're going to clean this out and then get ready to reassemble it here. Okay, so we got this cleaned out. Most of the oil and debris out of here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a paper towel and wipe this around. And see, we still get a little bit of gunk out of there. Not too bad. Now, if you're operating these tractors in extremely dusty conditions, so you've seen these farmers out here tilling the ground in the spring and how dirty and dusty that is. You want to do this more often than if you're, like I'm doing out here, basically just mowing stuff, or if you're even doing hay, that could be kind of dusty, of course, but you know, it just depends on what you're putting the vehicle through as to how often you need to check this particular thing and clean it all up. So very good, very good. We will dry this off a bit, and then we'll put it back together. Okay, so by the David Brown 880 Selectamatic instruction book, which came with the tractor, let's see, it shows that the air cleaning oil bath takes 1.5 pints of oil. Now, in the approved lubricants section here, you can use the 30 weight oil that you use in the engine, which is what I use there. And we have some here. I don't think we showed this last time around. This is what I used in the engine oil. And this is a straight 30 weight diesel engine, heavy duty engine oil. So I use that in the AD 355, but in the air breather I'm using a 10W30, and the reason I'm using 10W30 is because of the winter when it gets cold. It just seems like it, well, when it's cold you're at the 10 weight range there, so it just seems like it can draw air in quicker or easier if it's really cold out. And by our approved lubricants here, that's what you can use a 10W30 on it, because this is the engine and air cleaner, and right there we have the 10W30 that we can use on that. So that's what we're going to use on it. So what we need to do is we need to put 1.5 pints in here, or fill it up to this line right here. And that is simple to do with it laying on a flat surface. And what you have inside this middle ring, we've got these holes that are positioned around here, and the oil flow can flow back and forth to level itself out. And I would say we're pretty well up to that line with clean engine oil. Okay, so now we will head over and reassemble everything. Okay, so as we can see up in here, the other pre-cleaner is still lodged up in there. I'm not going to take it out because the other one is so clean that I don't think there's anything detrimental to that one being up in there. So what we have done here is we've just reassembled our system. We have it right here. We put this back down in there, and as we see, as we look down in here, we really can't see it, but the oil level is below where our tube comes down. So this tube down at the bottom is above where our oil level is. See, my pencil didn't even get in the oil. So we're going to take this thing and we're going to set it back up in here and snap it in. And what I generally do up there is I put the label here toward the outside. And that slides up in and the whole thing lines up. Now I did coat the top of this can with clean oil because you want it to seal. You want it to seal to the gasket that's in there. We got some dirt on there sitting on the ground. And that's pretty much it. Well, that went easier than the, or better than the engine part. On the other side here we have our power steering reservoir. Now this is the power assist steering system. The early systems had the reservoir separate, obviously from what we're looking at. And you got two lines that run through there and down into the pump and the cylinder, which are over here. And as you remember, we put the boot on here, the rubber cover, which is performing quite well. And so we have our power steering pump line coming into that, and then there's a return line because you come out of the pump pressurized through this black line into the cylinder, the ram cylinder, and then out of the cylinder by the red line back into the reservoir. And that's how that whole system is hooked up there. So what we're going to do is we're going to check the oil in it while we have the front off of it here. When we reach way up in here and pull it off the top, and here we go. And right there is the dipstick. Yeah, it's full of oil. Kind of hard to see there, but yeah, it's still full of oil, so that's good. And that's just the cap. That's how you fill it up and how you check to see how much is in there. But you got to get way up in there, and there's just no way to get the camera and everything up in there. There again, Brownie, these things were designed to be serviceable. It's quite well, really. It works really good servicing on them. You know, unless you put this Freeman loader on here, and you know, you got your guard here, you got the subframes on both sides all bolted on there. It makes it difficult to get the stuff to do it, but the tractor itself, and even if you had the David Brown loader on there, it would be configured a lot different than this. It would be easier to do things with it as far as servicing it. So yeah, so that's the basics on that. We did the air filter system, the oil bath, and we did the engine oil and all that. And we have our fuel filters. They're over here as well. There's two of those. We're not even close to enough hours to even do those. I think it's 500 hours for the first one, and I think 1,000 for the second one. I'll check the book there and correct myself if I'm wrong. But yeah, so anyway, that's how we do a little bit of spring maintenance on the old Brownie so that you know, it'll perform well throughout the summer doing the tasks at hand.